Are you serious? Are you serious, guys? Code red, code red, code red. It's very code red. The war in the Middle East is raging. The battles are raging now as Israel's troops have intensified their assault on Rafah and this in the Jabula and Rafah operations. And we have breaking news coming out of there. Let me share with that in just a second. But first, just a real quick shout out to Joseph's Kitchen. Supply is the emergency. Let us be your solution. With inflation and food shortage, there is a must for your home today, as Joseph's Kitchen has made an easy solution for you, your family, and friends. Think of us as your farm to the table alternative for making healthy, homemade, whole wheat bread. Beautiful. We've taken it back to the basics, starting with the wheat berries paired with the real ingredients that have been tested and proven to work with making bread. Joseph's Kitchen supports our local farmers and sources only the highest quality ingredients. Our videos and recipes will walk you through how to use the packages while saving cost. It only takes a few minutes. Push a button, and in 2 hours and 20 minutes later, you will have this nice, hot, homemade wheat bread like you won't believe. Let Joseph's Kitchen be your solution for food and the food shortage we are currently facing. Our packages and recipes are easy to use and packaged for long-term storage. Guys, these folks are wonderful. Leslie's amazing. And if you know, of course, if you know Stan Johnson from the Prophecy Club, that's his daughter and her company with her husband. It is phenomenal. Just go check it out. Go to Joseph's Chicken. Did I say chicken? Joseph's Kitchen.com. That's josephskitchen.com. Or pick up the phone and call them. When you do this, guys, go to the promo code. Use the promo code Begley for free shipping. Call them at 469-202-9241. All right? And tell them Pastor Paul Begley sent you there. All right. Let's talk about what's happening here, because it's just insane where we're at in this whole scenario. Where we're at in this whole scenario of the war. And the pressure is building. There's no doubt about that. The Gaza war, the battle rages as Israeli troops have intensified in the Jabula and Rafah operations. The Israeli forces, code red, Israeli forces and Palestinian terrorists say that they have been in intense battles in the northern Gaza town of Jabula. Israel's military said troops have killed a, quote, large number of terrorists in the Jabula refugee camp, while Hamas said it had killed several Israeli soldiers. Now, tens of thousands of civilians have fled Jabula since Saturday, and when the military said it would re-enter the area because Hamas had regrouped there, and it's true. Fierce fighting is also continuing around the southern city of Rafah. The United Nations says almost 600,000 people have fled, taking refuge, have been displaced since the start of this Israeli ground operation there in Rafah on the eastern outskirts 9 days ago. Despite the threats by the United Nations, despite the facts by the UN Security Council, despite the threats even by the Biden administration as he is withholding ammunition. With tanks now pushing into build-up areas, the nearby boarding crossings closed or inaccessible, supplies and medical services start to dwindle, and they will. But U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken expressed that the impact of the Israeli operation, he had concern, saying there was an urgent need to restore the full operational capacity of these crossings. But here's why Israel shut them down. Remember, first of all, the crossings were supposed to be neutral, but Hamas killed 4 young Israeli soldiers. Number 2, this is a war. Code red, we're in a war. And this is like you're in the situation now where you're trying to hunt down Hitler if this was World War II. You've got him cornered. Now Netanyahu says it's time to take them out. Meanwhile, Israel has opened up other crossings and is allowing plenty of food and supply. Nobody's starving in Gaza, despite the fact you hear that in the media. Nobody's starving there. Okay? They are displaced, yeah, because Hamas hides among the population. We don't want to see anybody die. We don't want to see this situation where basically we're in, but we're in it. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has pushed back against the criticism of his military operation, saying, quote, the humanitarian catastrophe that has been spoken of has not been realized, nor will it. We are feeding, we're allowing foods and medical supplies. We are cautiously invading the city of Rafah, hunting down the terrorists. We are making sure that food and water and medical supplies are being distributed. There is no humanitarian catastrophe. Now, Israel has launched, of course, this military campaign to destroy Hamas in response to Hamas's horrific, wicked, evil southern attack on Israeli citizens on October the 7th, 2023, where they killed over 1,200 people and took 252 hostage. Also, injured thousands of Israelis. Now, the infrastructure, though, in the Jabila camp, which was a camp for some of the misplaced and displaced civilians, have moved on. Over the past day, IDF troops in the area have engaged in intense battles with dozens of terrorist cells, and they've eliminated a large number of terrorists. Hamas military wing also has reported battles going on inside the Jabila camp last night and said fighters had targeted Israeli troops and with anti-tank missiles and various other explosive devices. So it is a bloody battle. Now, Israel's winning this battle, but there is casualties. There is casualties among the Israeli forces. It claimed that Hamas claims they killed a dozen soldiers in one attack on a bulldozer and a tank and a house in the Block 4 area of the camp. But the IDF reports there were no casualties. So you got propaganda going on here. Hamas has also affiliated with Safa news agency reporting that the air and artillery strikes had caused widespread destruction in areas where the troops had advanced. Meanwhile, the official Palestinian news agency, Wafa, has said 4 people were killed in an overnight Israeli airstrike in the Jabila town. Wafa also said there's been violent shelling going on in eastern Gaza City, from which Israeli troops withdrew on Wednesday following a separate 6-day operation in which they went through and they eliminated dozens of terrorists. According to the IDF, we've had encounters, we've had airstrikes, but we have destroyed terrorist infrastructures that were located, and we have confiscated many Hamas weapons. Now, residents are saying that many of the people have been forced to flee because of the intensity of the bombardment and fighting. The biggest problem we face, they say, is that there's no ambulances anymore or civil defense. So if your son is injured, he will just continue to bleed. Well, I'm sure the infrastructure is a lot worse than it was, and that's unfortunate, and nobody wants that. Nobody on this, at least I should say, I don't think anybody would want that. I know the Israelis don't. But the Israelis, everywhere they go, there's a human shield standing, women, children, the elderly, put in front as a human shield in front of the forces that Israel is trying to eliminate. So, again, the media, when you try to even you try to read an article, and man, it just starts just dogging on Israel. My intel that I'm getting is that Israel is making major advances now as it relates to Jaffa, and they are literally destroying scores and scores and scores of Hamas terrorists, and it's becoming, and they could do it even easier, except the fact that they are trying every way possible not to hurt the innocent civilians. Also, the numbers of civilians that have died, unfortunately, nobody wants to have happen. Those numbers have been drastically inflated by Hamas, but been regurgitated by the national world media and also by the United Nations. No matter what President Biden throws at Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Netanyahu's resolve is unprecedented as he continues to finish the deal. Meanwhile, you haven't heard from. You've seen the protests in America. You've seen the votes to try to create a Palestinian state. You've seen the world. Israel has been taken to international court and been charged for war crimes in international court. Netanyahu, there's arrest warrants for him. There's not many countries left in the world could he even go to right now without being arrested. It's incredible to me. But the terrorist, there is no arrest warrants out. Did you realize that the guy who's the head of Hamas, there is no arrest warrants out for this man in any other nation in the world? Nobody wants to talk about that. The head of Hamas. And so Israel's got to take care of business. Guys, I'm saying pray for peace, pray for understanding. Last night at Freedom Fellowship, we had a phenomenal evening with what's called the Israeli guys. They came. We held a live service under the big tent, had a nice crowd with some praise and worship, and then the Israeli guys spoke, and they showed us a 7-minute video of the attack on October 7th. They toned it down as much as they could, but it's hard to tone down the slaughter that went on that day. It was horrific. It was heartbreaking. It was devastating to watch not only the murder and the massacring of the people and the carnage and the chaos, but the giddiness, the dancing in the streets of Gaza City, the dancing. I'm talking now, I'm talking about the civilians. If you would have seen this, the whole Gaza Strip was dancing in the streets, handing out cookies and celebrating in this incredible celebration of what had just happened to the innocent civilians, their neighbors in Israel on that dreadful October 7th day. That might have, look, I understand these demonized, radicalized Hamas terrorists. I know they come straight from the smoky pits of hell. I have no problem even expressing that. And I don't have to worry because judgment is mine, thus saith the Lord. He'll take care of that. That I expected. That I understood. That I knew. But the dancing, the celebration, the handing of gifts to one another, the literal parades, the absolute jubilation in an entire cities full of people in the Gaza Strip. And I knew that when I saw this, I said to myself, this can't be. No, I mean, maybe you'd have a few terrorists running around shooting off rifles and bragging, driving around in the back of their Toyotas as they were pulling the Israeli and American, may I say, Israeli and American hostages. Maybe they would be shooting off their rifles in the air and expressing their victorious, jubilant celebration of the massacre of innocent civilians in Israel. That I could understand. But I would have thought the people would have been sitting back, stunned, afraid and stunned, not knowing, but just watching in absolute shock. Maybe amazement, but shock. But I didn't expect this absolute. It was like they won the Super Bowl. I mean, it was beyond that. It was like, it was beyond that. This is something you will not hear in the media. This is something you will not hear. And I would show it to you, but you can't put that on a media like this. You just can't. But I think I am going to put it on the webinar because I can put it there. And I think I should show you that 7 minutes. I want you, so that you know, when you hear these anti-Semitic, these replacement theology guys, I say to myself, I'm thinking of a few of them, and I thought to myself, how can they trash Israel for their response to defend their nation's existence? How could they almost defend the terrorism of Hamas? How do they become so anti-Semitic? How are they so ruthlessly hating on the Israeli people and the government of Israel and the prime minister of Israel? How in the world did they take this position? And I'm going to tell you something. They took this position that they've been puking out within 7 days of the attack. I can go back and show it to you on several of their different YouTube channels. There's several different guys of them. Or you can find them on Twitter. Some of them, I mean, look, it's shocking to me. How did they do that? How can they sleep at night? How can they actually think that they're a child of God, hating on the children of God, and protecting and defending and somehow supporting this horrific attack? It's code red, guys. It's code red. It's code red. And if you've seen the celebration, if you watched the giddiness, if you watched the dancing in the streets and the handing out of gifts, if you had seen what I saw, you would say to yourself, the world's gone mad. And that's why we're so close now to the prophecies of Zechariah 14, when the Lord himself will return and stand on the Mount of Olives and defend the nation of Israel in the city of Jerusalem and fight on behalf of the kingdom of God. Please pray for peace. Now, there are, may I say this, there are some in Gaza, there are some Christians there who have to literally be as quiet as a church mouse, not to express what they believe in their heart, because they would be executed and killed. There's a few Christians there that truly know what's going on is insane. And they're not dancing. They're praying. And I'm praying with them. I'm praying for all the innocent people involved. There are some. There are some among the people there. There are some. They're just, what are they going to do? Okay? Pray. Pray. Again, I say pray. Tonight, Mike from around the world will be with us. Maybe BP Earthwatch. Chance Gibson will be with us. I might even have another one. I'm probably going to start a little early. Not too early, maybe 15 minutes early. I don't want to disrupt a great broadcast that goes on every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and that's The Big Picture with Bishop Larry Ragland. But I may have to start about 15 minutes early just so I have enough time to get everything in before even Mike comes in. And we may ask Mike, we may see if Mike will stay an extra 15, because the amount of information now. This barge, Are you kidding me? Another barge hit another bridge? Are you serious with me? I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's happened. But the greatest victory is just around the corner. There's about to be this major shift. God spoke to me this morning and said, Paul, I'm about ready to turn evil, what was meant for evil, into good. And I said, Lord, in what area? Because there's so many areas. And he said, I'm about to turn what was evil in Israel into good. I'm about to turn what was evil, what's been evil here in America, into good. I'm about to wake up the world with the truth. And of course, this webinar we're going to have, Pole Shift, unbelievable. Israel, we interviewed Marshall Masters yesterday for the webinar, okay? And Israel Hall said, he even said to Marshall, that is the greatest presentation you've ever done. You broke it down, explained how a pole shift happens and what causes it and what it does and when it's happened before and what and you even gave us a timeline on the arrival of Planet X, and you broke it down and what effects it will be on the sun, the earth, the moon, and Mars. And a lot of what Marshall Masters said was confirmed by BP Earthwatch, was confirmed, some of it by Gil Brazard, was confirmed, some of it by Clyde Lewis, and wow. In other words, there was parts of it that was right on the money with these other guys, with BP and Clyde Lewis and Gil Brazard, and now Marshall Masters, and we're still got to interview the rest of the team, okay? And so this is unbelievable. What today I'm going to be interviewing Josh Peck for it. I mean, he's a brilliant young man. I mean, all of this stuff is coming together now. We're living in the last days. But Israel, the prophecy that God gave to Israel to be a nation, to dry bones, to come back to life, to create a nation, the victories they will have over Gog and Magog in Ezekiel 38, the victory they will have over the insurgents that come against Israel and Jerusalem in Zechariah 14, the victory that Jesus Christ will ultimately lead in the battle of Armageddon. You can't stop prophecy. We may have Mike on earlier and stay late. We may start earlier. I'm going to probably start at 8:45. And BP, Saturday was silent, and surely it was through. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? And Friday's disappointment is Sunday's empty tomb. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? This is the sound of a dry bones rattling. This is the praise make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Pentecostal fire, stirring something new. You're not gonna run out of miracles anytime soon. Your resurrection power, it runs in my veins. Get your ticket for Pole Shift. I believe there's another miracle here in this room. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. This is the praise make a dead man walk Yes.
Just ask the man who was thrown on the bones of Elisha if there's anything that he can do. Just ask the stone that was rolled at the tomb in the garden what happens when God says to move. I feel him moving it now. I feel him doing it now. I feel him doing it now. Do it now. Do it now. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Yeah, this is the praise, make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling.
Listen to the bones rattling. Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up from your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. Then you shall know that I am the Lord, and I will put my spirit in you, and I will place you in your own land, and you shall live. I will place you in your own land. You shall live, 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 live. Oh, that's right. Prophecy fulfilled. Israel in your own land. He did that. But he said, not only will I put you in your own land, but you shall live. Carol's got a ticket for the webinar. In the name of Jesus. Man, I was just in North Carolina. I'm so sorry. During the Preacher Man van tour that we did.
Hey, are you a real estate investor or someone who's considering getting started?
During that Preacher Man van tour, I came through North Carolina, stopped in two different cities, Charlotte and where did I stop at? And Raleigh. I was in Raleigh, and I was in Charlotte. Both stops. Spent a couple hours in each location there at the Cracker Barrel. Met with a lot of wonderful people there. I'm so sorry. But you are more than welcome to get baptized. You can come to Florida here to the Big Tent. Matter of fact, I'm going to be baptizing people. We did last Sunday. We're going to be baptizing people again this Sunday. I already know. They're coming in out of Georgia. Or you can come to my house. I invite you to my home in Indiana, and in West Lafayette, Indiana. And there you can be baptized at my home in the pool. We will have, first of all, it starts at 12 noon. It's called Summer Fire. It starts at 12 noon. We'll have dinner. I'm putting together, there's going to be a spread of food. Unbelievable. Heidi is just insanely amazing. Everybody, the team involved, it takes to put this together. A lot of my family members and others and some volunteers and stuff. And then after we feed everybody, we'll go out to Rachel's Chapel, and Israel Hall and Kevin Wilson will be there. And maybe Renee Teray, and I will find out, because Renee Teray will be here under the big tent this Sunday with her husband, and they will be incorporated and a part of the praise and worship team. I mean, she is insane with the fiddle. I mean, when you get to play on the Grand Ole Opry with Charlie Daniels doing The Devil Went Down to Georgia, you don't get to do that if you can't play. And she's insane. Anyway, she's played with many major artists on their albums or on tours when they would travel, like especially like if they took cruises and they traveled or they toured across America. She is also plays the fiddle on my brand new album, Harmonize and Prophesy. Anyway, her and her husband, and she's traveled to Israel with me and Heidi twice now on 2 different tours. And so we would ask her to play incredibly standing on the Mount of Olives. So, yeah, she's amazing. Her husband is a professional guitarist, and we baptized him in the Jordan River last year when he gave his life to the Lord right there in Israel. So they're going to be here on stage with our praise and worship team, and then I'll be preaching this Sunday as well. So you absolutely can't miss this service. I mean, it's a mandatory. Some of you need to go ahead and get your flights arranged now. Some of you need to plan on driving there. Leave tomorrow morning, okay? I don't know where you live in exactly, what part of America you live in, but if you can drive there, drive. If you can fly there, fly. Really, please, and come up and introduce yourself to me and Heidi. That is this Sunday under the big tent in Wildwood, Florida, which is just outside the Villages, just like across the street, okay, from the Villages. Now, that's this Sunday. Service starts at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. If you can't come, you can watch it online at www.ffctv.church. You can watch it online there. I'll be preaching as well. Now, also, I'm going to tell you this, but Summer Fire is Saturday, June 29th. Saturday, June 29th. Big dinner, a live concert in Heidi's Rachel's Heart Chapel, where all the blankets are anointed and prayed over. Okay, it's a mighty, mighty anointed place. And then after that's done, we go in behind my house there. We have a big swimming pool where we will baptize people in the pool. There's a veranda around it, a lot of room for everybody to gather around. And if you need to get baptized, this will be the day you do it. So I'm just telling you, I'm opening up, I don't know how many ministries do where they open up their home. Some people say I'm crazy for doing that, but me and Heidi are just down home people. We came from a small community of 1,200 people where everybody knew everybody. And she's my high school sweetheart, and I played high school basketball, which you have to understand. When you grow up in North Judson, Indiana, a town of 1,200, they're crazy about basketball. It's called Hoosier hysteria. And every Friday night during the basketball season, they pack the gymnasium. But it's only a town of 1,200. But the gymnasium holds 3,500, and they pack it. So it was it was amazing when I played 3 years in varsity and started the last 2 years. I still can't get that out of my head, that camaraderie, that hometown feel, that everybody knows everybody. So Heidi and I came from a small community and pastored for many years in this small community. And so we still have a small, down home, love everybody attitude. We just got a big vision, and God's got a big plan for us to keep working. Oh, by the way, I will be on, speaking of that, I'll be on the next Wednesday if you want to watch it. I'm on the Jim Baker Show. That's Wednesday, May 22nd. That's next Wednesday, May 22nd. I've already filmed it. It's a great broadcast. A great interview they did with me. I'm on for the entire hour. You definitely want to watch it whatever time the Jim Baker Show comes on in your town or your city. Find the Jim Baker Show, or you can watch it online at JimBaker.com. I think it's JimBakerShow.com or something. Anyway, I just want you to know that I'll be on television next Wednesday, May 22nd. I mean, I'm having a hard time. I keep thinking I'm in March, but man, we're already in May. Wow. Praise God. I'll be back. There's some more information I got to share with you, but I better do another video so I can get it all in. I'll be back, okay? And don't forget tonight. We're going to start at 8:45. I'm apologizing to Bishop Larry Ragland already. His broadcast starts at 8, okay? And I'm even going to be over there watching it because his broadcasts are amazing. That's the big picture. But I'm going to start 15 minutes early just because I need to get everything in this time. All right. God bless you guys. I'll see you a little bit later. Right here, I'm going to do another video in just a few minutes. Coming apocalypse. Are you serious?